Today, guys, I'm going to be showing you how to answer questions that you may probably come across during the interviews. Maybe you're interviewing for junior front-end developer, or you're interviewing for intermediate front-end developer. There are so many questions that you could be asked about maybe live coding, live maybe writing a program or solving a solution problem in this test. Basically, the one I want to go with you today on is you will have an array of objects that contains people, and each person represents a team member. And now you probably may be asked to group this an array into two groups, and they must have exactly equal amount of people. Take for instance, you have the array length of 8, so that means group A should have 4 members and group B should have 4 members. Take for instance, maybe you have an and odd array length. Take for instance, you have a 9. Yeah, you may be wondering how you're going to do this, um, let's just leave it to be that the array is an even length array. So I'm going to show you now how to, first and foremost, how to fetch this data, how to iterate over this data and populate your page with this data. So I have on the right hand side, on the left hand side here, I have a list. I have an array. It's called team array. So it has 8 people inside. So I'm gonna divide this array into two groups, basically on the right and on the left. So I'm gonna show you that, and also the major task. One of the other tasks is for you to move a member from a particular group to the other group, and this should be done hovering over this member, and the move button will show. And when you click that move button, it moves from that group to the other group, and is added to the other group and subtracted from this other group. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, I have a plain DOM here. Nothing is showing on this DOM. So the first thing I'm going to say is that just for us to know if this DOM is connected to this program, let's put H1 here, and let's write the interview questions. Let's save, and let's say this is okay. Now we have it over here, right? So that means it's connected. So our program is working perfectly well. So what I'm going to do first and foremost, to even start with, let's even display this array on our DOM. Let's try and let's display it. So all we need to do here is basically simple. Just iterate over this and map over it, and tell to return each member. So what I'm going to do basically here is I'm going to write a JSX file here, and I'm going to say team list, and I'm going to map it. So I call a map function on it, and I pass everything, maybe a team member. And what do I want to do here? I want to say to the team member, on every team member, return each team member, and return. Let's just return the team member name now, not even the ID. But remember, when you're iterating over an array, every child must have a distinctive ID. That way, React knows which ID, which member you're referring to, in case you want to manipulate or do something about that member in the future. So later on, rather, so you have to have an ID. So that ID is what the DOM knows or used to pick that person, that particular individual, or that particular element, to know what to do with it. So here we're going to have, let's say we return H1. Let's just return H1. I will say inside of this H1, give us team dot name. So when we say this, now we have to have a key here, and the key will be what? Team dot ID. So if we save this, we should have this on the DOM. So now we're not getting anything back. So let's see what's going on. It's saying expected to a return. So sorry guys, I'm supposed to put a return here. See, so now we have all the lists, right? So we have all the lists. So we can also decide to say, okay, return team name and also return the ID. So we should write ID here, and we should be able to see it. You see, so that means this is working perfectly well, right? So this is working perfectly well, right? So what next to do is now we need to create a component to separate these two groups, this names into two groups, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create. Let's take this out. First and foremost, I'm going to create a component, and I'm going to call the component list item. And I'm going to say, okay, this is not defined. This is not okay. Fine. You may be wondering what is content top content and list. Okay, this is a star component, and I'm going to put it here. And style is not defined, right? It's saying style is not defined. So what do we need to do? We need to import style. So mind you guys, I already have style component installed already, pre-installed already. So how to do that is go to your terminal and go to a new terminal and just write yarn hard. You can just write yarn hard styled components. But I don't have to do this because I already did that, right? So I don't have to do this again. So when you press enter, it runs the install style component for you. So now that we have this, but now it's shouting on list, right? List is not a star component. List is the component on the React component. So we're going to create that now. We're going to create list.js underscore RFCE. So I bring that up. So this is it. So what I want to do here is I want to display this in two places. Like I want to display it in two groups, right? That was what I said earlier on. So I have it here already. So I'm passing here. I'm passing down team list and team. I'm passing down team list because I want to use that. So here I'm going to import this. So this is good, right? So if I save this now, let's say this is team rendering. Let me call this team rendering. And if I save this, and if I come here and I save this, you're going to be team rendering on the page. Now it's centralized because we already have a style. So we already have a style here. That's why we have it centralized here. So what I'm going to do basically here is that I already have my team being passed down here, right? So since I have my team, I'm destructuring that now to just to get my team or straight up. So what I'm going to do now, I want to iterate over team, and I want to divide it into two groups. So the first group, now this is the iteration. Let me copy that from here. I don't want to write that again because just to save us time. So I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to paste it here. So what I'm saying is that I created a constant variable called team A, and I make it an empty array. Remember that it's going to be an array because it's taking in more than two objects based on the length of the array of the overall big array that we have, which is team list. So we call it an array, an empty array. For now, it's an empty array. So we map over this. We map over this team list. When we map over it, we have this. So what I said here is that for, you know what, I can actually write this again so that you don't think I'm just, I'm just giving you bullshit. So I'm going to do this. I'm returning a null. The reason why is because I don't, when you map it, I don't want to return it. I just want to use this to populate something, to populate something, which is my team A, right? So I'm going to write, I say for, now, I'm going to say let I, I'm going to use a for loop, let I be equals to 0. I'm starting from 0 index. Remember that an array always starts from 0 index. I'm starting from 0 index, and I'm saying I will be less than. Now, what I want to do here, I want to do a logic here. I want to say, look at the array, the overall array, the big array, which is team list. I want to get half of it. So when you get to the half, when you access to the half of it, stop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say team list dot length, and I'm going to divide it by 2. I want to make it dynamic now. I'm making it dynamic. Okay, I'm making it dynamic so that in case we want to increase the length of our array, once you increase the length of our array, we can always do that. So it's going to be dynamically generated. So here, and I'm going to say minus divided by 2. That means our array is already 8, right? Let's take for example, our array length is 8. when we divide it by 2, it's going to give us 4, right? But we don't want to include that 4. So we're going to say plus 1. And we're going to increase our I. So after which, if for this now, I want you to do something. So what I want you to do is um, you're going to return something. Hold on, guys. Let me see what I wrote here. Okay, now, thank you, guys. So this is what's going to happen here. So you are saying that for I, when I is equal to 0, but you want to iterate until I is equals to team length team list dot length divided by 2. That's half of, when you get to the half of it, you stop. Okay, but you have to include the last one. That's why I'm adding plus 1 here, right? So I'm going to say, and I'm going to give a condition now. I'm going to say if item.id is equal to I. Once it's equal to I, return that item.name. Okay, so I'm going to say if item.id is equals to, now I'm using triple equation equal here because I want to also consider, I want to also compare. I mean, you don't have to do this, but for me, for just best practices, I always use this. It must be also the same type, which is either number or string. So I'm comparing the type now, so they must be number, right? So because I already gave I a number type, so I'm going to say if this is this, then let's say return item.name. See, so return. Oh, sorry. Return item.name. When I save this, no. Okay, return. But really, we are not returning here. We are not returning. We want to populate this one, right? So we're gonna say, and let's put this one here. Control A. Let's put it here so that we can see when it happens. Team A. So that when we say, we're gonna say team A here and push that into it. So when you push item.name into it, so this is what we want to happen. You see? So now we're getting Tim Duncan, Dan Cook, Elon Musk, and Don Forster, right? Which is, let's go back to this list. Look at it. This is the first. This is the second. This is the third. This is the fourth. You see? So now we get our array, right? So, but now we don't want to have it this way. I mean, this is not what we want, how we want it to be, right? So we are going to do something. We're going to render them in list, right? In list format. So to render them in list format, all we need to do is to just here dot push, right? So we are pushing it here. So now it's not even team A I want to use here. Okay, it's not team A I want to use it. So I'm going to write it this way. I'm going to write another. I'm going to write, the reason why I don't want to use team A here is because later on I want to be able to change it, I want to be able to use states to change the length when I'm pushing things inside and I'm taking things out. So I'm going to create another costing here, and I'm going to call it, don't worry, you're going to understand what I'm trying to do here later on when we start manipulating the DOM. So I'm going to say array A now, and I'm going to say set array A. I'm going to say, okay, let's just say React dot, so that we don't have to start use it this way. And it's saying React is not defined, so we're going to import React here. We're not really import React. Okay, let's just do it this way. Import React from React. So that should do. And so I'm going to do it like this. So we should be good now, right? So now that we're good, Undefined is not a function. Where is the undefined? Oh, sorry. So now we're going to put what's going to be our initial stage. We're going to say make it a team A. Make our initial stage a team A. So now we are putting this value that we got here inside of this, making it this, using states to initialize that. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to return something here. So we're going to say to the DOM here that this is not what we want to do here. This is what we want to do here. We're going to say to the DOM here now that I iterate through this and populate it using list array. So using use list tag. So yeah, we're gonna say here we're going to write it this way: array here, but map through it because we want to populate it now using list tag. So here we're gonna say array dot map. So you're mapping every item, and you're saying to that return this. So this is what you're returning. You're returning unlisted. And inside you're returning listed. So what am I returning here? I'm returning item dot name. There's a name inside the item, and I'm passing the key here so it doesn't break. Item dot ID. So let's check what's going to happen. You see, but now it's not giving us back. It's not giving us back that. So what could be happening? So let's check what we have in our array. Let's check what we have in our array. Let's check if we are even getting something back. Let's console log this. So when we open our terminal, we can actually check if we're getting something back. We're getting something back. What arrays assigned a value but never used? Okay, it's fine. One in every child list is unique key. Yeah. Key.id. Okay, because now we're not getting anything back. That's why it's shouting like that. So let's check what we're getting back. We are getting all these things back, right? When I'm pushing to A, I did not push the ID. So I'm going to do something here. I'm pushing into the array, right? So I'm supposed to be pushing an object into that array. Remember that our individual team member, yeah, an array of the list is an array of objects, right? So the first is going to be team, it's going to be name rather, and the second is going to be ID. So here we should be fine. Should be fine. So if we refresh like this, we should be fine. So now we have this. You see, this is what we need to have here. See, and you see how it's populating. Now we're getting a good result. So now this is beautiful, right? So here we're perfect. This is perfect. So, but we need to have a header. So I'm going to copy. I'm going to yeah, we need to have a header here. So we're going to put a header here. We are going to say this header should be H1. H1, I'm going to say team A. So we're going to say, okay, now we're good, right? We've been able to achieve one team, one group. So let's do the other group. So all we need to do is to do this again and write team B here. But now look at what we're having. We're having the same content, right? So all we need to do here is very simple. Remember that we created a constant and we mapped through and we did all this. So we need to do the same thing again. So we're going to say here const team B equals to empty array. So now we're going to say team lists dot map. We're mapping through it. I want to say item. I want to say for let I equals is 0, right? For I is less than team list dot length. divided by 2, divided by 2 plus 1 and I increments, right? So do this by saying if that, create that loop, and we'll say if item dot id is equals to I. So what I'm going to say here is Timby. I'm going to say, I'm going to say here that this is where you're going to start from. This is where you're going to start from. Control C, start from here and end here. So this is what I want. So here, going to be array of B. Guys, don't worry. We're going to get it done. So now we're saying array of B. We're just going to do the same thing again. We're just doing the same thing, but now it's for B, right? It's for the other group. So like this. So we are rendering array of B here. So let's even save and let's see what we're going to get. We are getting Ben Affleck's, but we're missing just one element. So go back to the mapping and check this one is less than, make it equals, less than equals to. So it's going to include the last one. Okay. Well, okay, good. So now it includes the last one. This is perfect. Now you see it's working perfectly well. So now that we've generated dynamically, now if I add more to this, let's say I had more. So then I call this 9. I call this 10. And I call this serial sober. And I call this Steve. Oops. And I save. If I save, look at what's going to happen, guys. You see? You see that it's dynamic, right? When you even change the contents, you don't have to do anything else again. It just dynamically populates it because of this logic we did here. I would have said just count, add code 4 here or add code 5 here, just to make it. But if you do it that way, what if your array is increased, the length of your array increases? What are you going to do? You're going to have to come back here and start doing the mathematics. So when you do this dynamically, you don't have to go through that stress anymore. So now that we have this, good. So we need to style this now. So what we need to do first, and I don't want to go into the styling. I'm just going to copy and paste what I have here already. So I'm going to copy my paragraph, but I'm going to copy my main. I'm going to copy first and foremost. I'm going to turn this to main. So I'm going to copy my main. I'm going to copy main here. I'm going to copy main. Just bear with me, guys. I'm going to copy main here. So import my style. So Control S. So I'm going to copy also container header left. Let me just copy all these things here. Then I can show you where I have them later in. Let me just copy like this. So now I'm going to go back here and say, yeah, I think I'm good. I can actually put everything on the dump so you can see. So H1 is going to be paragraph. Going to be paragraph. Control S. You see? H1 is going to be paragraph. Oh, not this actually, but it's okay. This is going to be header. This is going to be header. header one, sorry, let me just header one. So you're gonna have that, right? So this is gonna be, I'm just gonna write something which I wrote here. Let me just copy what I wrote here. So that's fine, right? So I'm also here, it's gonna be header two. This is gonna be header two. Header two. Is it header two or header one? Do I have header two? Just header one. So why don't we just make it header? Since it's just one header, so make it header, header, and here header. So I have that, right? So that is beautiful. So Command C or Command X. So we're gonna say, give me a container here. By the way, guys, this is style component. So if you don't know about style components, you may have to just look it up. I'm not going to explain that here today. I'm not going to explain that here today. So here, my array is going to be in the list A. List A. List A is just to style this one so that it doesn't look the way it's looking. Now, if I put this like this, you're going to see the difference now. You see? And I say list B. This will be list B. What I mean is list A, that means the group A and group B, okay? That's just what I meant by list A and list B. See now, it's form, right? So, but we need more things. We need left, and when we say left, where do we have the left? So we have left and we have right. So we are going to wrap this list A. We're going to wrap it around a left component, a left star component. See what's going to happen now. You see, this header should be inside. That's what I just want to. Okay, fine. So now look at this one also. I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to say right. This is all style component, guys. I already did all the styles. I'm just putting in my styles. You see now we're good, right? So, but this list, this UI and UL, I want it to be also a style component. And I say UI list, UL list rather. So I make this, I turn this one to UL list. And I turn this other one to, I think I'm good now. I think I should be good now. I think I should be good now if I render this. Yeah, I'm good now. I'm good now, guys. So now we have this perfectly well now, but there's no functions right now, right? We are going to create these functions and what we want to do. So basically we have our DOM ready for our logics to be there in there. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to create the button, right? I'm going to create a button here. It's also a start component, guys. So in case you're wondering that, where did I get the button from? It's also a start component. So you see, I have the button here, but I have to dynamically change, view that button. The logic I'm going to put here is this. So this is what I'm going to put here. I'm going to create a function. I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to say get. I'm just going to call it get ID because I actually want to get an ID to do something. I'm going to say it this way. I'm going to say when I click that button, no, when I overthrow this thing, say I want you to get me that element I clicked or I hover over. I want you to get me that. I want to say console log. Let's just say console.log. Let's just say a text got clicked. Okay. So, but I'm going to pass in an event here, an event, because I need to get. I want to use the event to get something. So if I bring this and I put it on this UI and I said on mouse over. To this function. So I'm going to open my terminal I want to see my console. So I'm going to say, yeah, okay, now we're having, let's refresh this. Let's see if these errors are going to come. So line 20, array map expect a return. So that's line 20 in my list, line 20. Let's check that line 20. It said this expects a return. So let's just do the way we did here. So it doesn't give us this error. So we should be fine with that. So it's saying that line 32 is declared but never used. Okay, so let's not worry about that. Header 2 is assigned a value but never used. So since our header 1 and header 2 has the same value, where's header 1? So they have just 4 values, so we don't need to duplicate that. So we can probably just take this out of the code. We can take this out, so we should be fine now. With these are 2 errors, we know what we're getting with that error, so we shouldn't be worried about that. But something is printing on the DOM, so let's see what is printing. 34. We already took that out, so let's refresh. So we're good now. So now what I want us to do is that when we click, when we hover through this, it's going to show us clicked, right? So when we over, mouse over, on mouse over. So where are we putting that function? Where are we putting that function? So on B. Okay, let's put it on both A and B. Get ID. Okay, let's copy. Let's just do it on here because my screen, my video is covering. So let's do it this way. You see, clicked, clicked, clicked. So this is fine, but now this is clicked. Click is not what we want to get, but we're just testing to see if our function is working. So we want to print out something. Print me event.target. I want to see what you're targeting, right? So if I refresh and I do this, you see, it's targeting the li, right? I want to get this one, this li. I want to get the parent ID. I want to get this ID. This ID is what I want to get. It's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to say event.target dot parent elements dot ID. This is what I want to get. So if I over it, I should get it. See, but it's not showing me, right? It's not showing me. You may be wondering why it's not showing me. I am also wondering why too. Let's do something. Let's cut out this and let's print our event alone. I would have just copied what I did, but I want you guys to understand everything I did. So I want to console log the event now. So this is the event, right? So let's go through it and let's see where the ID is hidden. So we go here. We go to, let's say, let's go to the target. This is the target, right? And let's go to the parent actually, because the parent should have it. The children element count is 0. We don't need that. Let's go to the parent. So the parent should be the one to have what we're looking for, because the parent, like we said here, has an ID. So let's go to the parent element, which is this one. So let's go to the ID. There should be an ID inside of the parent. There should be an ID. This is it. But now he's saying empty. The ID is empty. So this is the issue. I gave this, but I didn't give an ID. I only gave a key, not an ID. This is. Thank God we have this just to be able to, debug these things. So now we should be good. Like we should be perfectly good. So if I say event.parent.id, this should give me what I want. Or let's say event.target parent element .id. When I was doing it actually also, I had these little issues, but I was able to resolve it. It's all about being able to manipulate the DOM. If you're able to manipulate the DOM, you're able to go around the DOM very well, and you understand what you're doing, definitely you will know what you're looking for. So if you see now it's giving me, but it's not giving me a number. What I want to do, I always compare the type of elements. So now it's giving me a string. How do I know it's a string? Because it's showing white. If it's a number, it's going to show blue to you. So I'm going to turn this to a number now. Cut it, and I say pass It's two ways you can do it. I'm going to show you the two ways now. If I save here, see, it's showing me purple, right? Yeah. Or you do it this way. Close at the end. Yeah. See, it works also. So now what we want to do now is, now that we're getting something back, which is beautiful, which is so excellent, what we want to do is that basically what I want to do is when I overthrow this thing, overthrow this name, this team member, I want to set that ID, put it in a state, and use the state to control how the move button appears and disappears. Okay, so I'm going to create a state here, and I'm going to call this function get ID A. We're getting the ID group and group A. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to say ID A. What do you call it? ID A and set ID A. ID no, yeah, ID A. ID A. So ID A. So here it's going to be what? Empty. It's an empty. Empty, but are we supposed to even use an empty string? We're going to be passing it as an integer. You know what, guys? Let's check something. Let's console log array. Okay. I want to see is shouting on this one. So I want to see what the reason why I'm going through this thing like this is because, guys, is because I want you to understand everything because this is going to be probably an interview you're going to be doing yourself. I want you to understand everything so that you don't miss out anything. That's why I'm taking the pain to go through it. Now, check it. Our array has a number too. You see, I want to be sure it's the same type. So it has given us a number, which is what I want to check. I already checked that, so I can take this out. So now I'm going to set this. Shoot. Set ID. So set IDA to this element, to this value. But now I equally want to, do I even need show? Okay, I don't need that anymore. So I'm going to say this one. Now look at it, guys. If I'm going to condition this button, this is what I'm going to say to do it to do. I'm going to now, because I understand what I want to do, that's why I'm able to write my logic the way I want it. Now I'm going to say if item dot id is equals to this one, then show this button. Only then should you show this button. If it's not, do not show the button. See, it's gone, right? So now, if I over it, see, if I over this one, see, now this is the function I want to have. Okay, you see how we dynamically toggle the button, which is perfect, right? So we're going to do the same thing to our B, and we are going to all we need to do is just do this one, duplicate this function, and get it and call it B. So we come down here and we do the same thing here. On mouse over, please do this. Now we're changing it to B. Call the function B, and do this for our button also. And again, if I come here to, I do the same thing. Okay, what's going on? This is working, and this is not working. Okay, B, a mouse over, call this function. Okay, guys, B, yeah. It's breaking. Oh, it's okay. Just have to create our own V, which is good. See? Um, so yeah, just have to be sure that you're putting the right. Okay, what's going on? Okay, let's check it. Mouse over this, and I say item. If item.id is equal to idb, so show button, right? So why is it not working? This is working, and this is not working. Why is it not working? Okay, let's just check it through. Let's check it through. We are at this point we are good. We are so good because we've done the most difficult part. We've done the most difficult parts. This is what we just needed here, and yeah, we're good. So now that we've done that part, so now we've been able to show our buttons, right? So what we want to do, we want to be able to click that button, and it will move that particular item to the next place. So we are going to create a function to put in that button. So the function will be const undo move a. We're going to say it's not. But guys, now what we want to do is that we want to say that button must take the function to that button must take an ID to be able to know the ID, the element it's moving. We need to know the element you're moving. So now we're going to say it's going to take an ID. We can try to put it here, do it this way. And when we click it now, when we click that button, show us the ID that we clicked. Show us the ID that we clicked. But how do we know? So we're going to what can I say? How can I say this? I'm going to go through the array on group A. So when I click any element there, I want to know the element I'm clicking, right? So I'm going to say when you go through this function, what you need to do is go to the array. Since we are working on A, go to the array of A. But I want you to filter that array and give me back the one I clicked. So filter the array and take the item. Give me back the item that the ID is equals to the ID that I click. ID here. You know why we are using ID here? Remember that when we hover through that ID, every element in that array has an ID, right? Or better still, let's do it this way. Let's say console log. Let's say console log. Yes. Console log item dot ID. Let's do it this way so that we don't get ourselves confused. So like this. So now so when I click, okay, no, I need to put this in the button. That's the button A. So on click, we're going to call on click here. And we click. When I refresh, I hover, it gives me button. When I click here, see, it's giving me all the item. It's filtering through all the item and it's giving me all the item ID, right? But that's not the behavior I want, right? What I'm going to do is simple. Maybe I should, okay, if I'm looking for an item actually, am I supposed to be finding or filtering? Let's use find here and let's see what it's going to give us. Undefined. Undefined. Okay. So Remember, guys, you know what? Remember why it's giving us undefined? Let's try and put this something here and see if that's the error. This is what is causing the error. So if I do this, guys, we got something. So you see how we have to try, you have to be able to solve these things yourself. It's giving us undefined. Then that means it's saying something is not making it defined, which is the type, right? So we have this element, isn't it? We have this element, right? Um, so now we see that we have an item now, right? So we are going to filter this whole array and take that out. So we're going to say const filtered array, and it's going to be take our array of array A, and filter it, and give us that item. Return back the item that the ID it's not equals to the ID that was clicked, which is this one, right? But since we already have it here, for simplicity's sake, that was how we first find the ID first, find the item first before we use it. Now say here v dot ID. So give us back that ID. So now let's console log that ID. Let's console that filtered array and let's see what it's going to give us. So now if I click this and I click this, you see, give us back 4. It shouldn't be 4. Okay, it should be 4 because we have 5 elements, right? And the elements that we got back is Dan Cook, Elon Musk, Don Forster, and Ben Affleck. Remember that you can see that the item with ID 1, we are not getting it back. This is this is the behavior we want, right? So what are we going to do with this array? What are we going to do with this array? It's simple. Remember that we have an array, which is array A, which has 5 elements inside. But now that we've taken one out of it, we don't want it to appear anymore. So we're going to say set array A to be this. But guys, don't make the mistake of just writing it this way. It's an array. Remember, it's an array, and you have to spread it. So you don't mutate anything, spread it. So now, let's check what is going to happen. So if I refresh, and I click this, you see that we're not getting it back again, right? You see, it's going, you see? This is exactly what we want to do. Now we've achieved a task here. So now that I have this, I want it to show here, not just go away. So what I need to do here also is a set array B with this. So not forget, when you're adding into an array, you have to first bring back what is in that array first, so that you don't mutate it and you now add what you want to add. What are we adding? We're adding this. We're adding that item that we took away. So we're getting it back. So don't do that. So now that we're having this behavior, which is exactly what we want, so it's perfect. We're getting what we want back. See, everything is working perfectly well. So the next thing is to do the same thing for B, right? So all we need to do is to create this function, just duplicate. See, make life easy. Just duplicate it and edit it. Now we want B here. An array of B is what we are clicking here. We are looking for here, and we still have this. So we have an array of B here. We have an array of B here. An array of this should be your field. We are putting this of B, and this should be of A. To be of A, and you are spreading an array of A first to add the other one. So this should give you exactly what we did for A. So let's copy this function and put it here. I'll say on click events we put this. So if I do the same thing here, I should get the same result. So let's check if I'm going to get the same result. So here, I'm getting the same result, isn't it, guys? Getting the same result. So this is beautiful. This is exactly what we want. So now, I think this is all we need to do, guys. It's simple. The task is to create an array. The task is to use the array that we have. The array, separate them into two groups. And when you over any element in that array, in that group, you show your button. And when you click the button, you should move that text or that group member to the other group, which is exactly what we did. And I think we did an excellent job here. So I hope this tutorial is very helpful to anyone who is out there who is looking to do an interview. I'm sure that if you master this and it comes your way, you are just going to hit it up like a bread. It's so easy, so simple. It's just the JavaScript logics that you need to implement here. And that's all you need to do. Thank you, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and we have more videos come your way. Thank you.